Droughts are prolonged periods of abnormally low rainfall, which leads to water scarcity and often adversely impacting the ecosystems, agriculture, economies, and communities. They are a natural phenomenon that occurs worldwide and can vary in duration, severity, and geographic extent. Droughts are never an isolated event. They're the result of several factors, including the atmospheric conditions, such as high pressure systems blocking precipitation, climate variability, and human activities such as an overuse of water resources, deforestation, and land degradation. Importantly, climate change is exacerbating drought conditions in many regions, altering precipitation patterns and increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. This is a global issue that requires global solutions. Droughts are also impacted severely and very far-reaching. They can lead to crop failures, livestock losses, reduced water supplies for drinking and sanitation uses, increased wildlife risk, ecosystem degradation, and economic loss. Also, social disruptions such as food shortages and migration in communities. Mitigating the impacts of droughts is not an insurmountable challenge. It requires a combination of proactive measures, including water conservation and efficiency practices. There can be many systems put into place for droughts, but however, international cooperation and coordination are essential for this global phenomenon.
Nestled on the northeastern coast of Spain, Barcelona stands as a beacon of history, culture, and innovation. Its strategic position on the Mediterranean Sea has historically made it a bustling port city, facilitating trade and cultural exchange with nations across Europe and beyond. Surrounded by the stunning natural beauty of Catalonia, Barcelona boasts a diverse landscape from the picturesque Pyrenees Mountains to the sun-kissed beaches along its coastline. With a population exceeding 1.6 million people, Barcelona is a bustling city that pulses with life and energy. Its residents come from diverse backgrounds, including Catalan, Spanish, and immigrant communities from around the world. From the narrow streets of the Gothic Quarter to the modernist marvels of the Eixample district, Barcelona's population reflects a tapestry of cultures, languages, and traditions. Moreover, the city's universities and research institutions attract students and professionals from across the globe, contributing to a dynamic and cosmopolitan atmosphere. Barcelona enjoys a Mediterranean climate characterized by mild, wet winters and hot, dry summers. The city basks in abundant sunshine throughout the year, attracting tourists seeking warmth and relaxation. However, the region is not immune to the impacts of climate change. Beneath the surface of the bustling city lies a growing concern: water scarcity. Despite its proximity to the Mediterranean Sea, Barcelona faces a harsh reality. Water is a finite resource, and the once abundant supply is rapidly diminishing. The effects of climate change worsen this issue, leading to erratic weather patterns and unpredictable rainfall, further straining the already overburdened water sources, posing significant challenges. The impact of this drought fuses through every aspect of the Barcelona residents' lives. Agriculture, a vital component of their economy, suffers as crops wither, leading to decreased yields and financial hardship for farmers. And as water becomes increasingly scarce, tensions rise among community members competing for limited resources, threatening to strain the social fabric that binds Barcelona together.
There's a few different mitigation techniques that can be utilized for drought. Desalination is an example where you remove the salt from salt water to make it drinkable. If you look on the map, you can see that Barcelona is on the coast, which makes this a very effective method for this location, but since it's already being utilized in Spain, it's not the one we want to focus on. Another option is to make more water reservoirs, which can be done by maybe adding more dams to rivers and storing that water for a moment of need. Unfortunately, because of the nature of this drought, the rivers in Barcelona are actually shrinking. They went from supplying 63% of the drinking water in 2021 to only 19% 2 years later, so this strategy will be ineffective here. Which leads us to what we've determined is the mitigation technique that should now be focused on, which is wells. Due to the shutting down of illegal wells, there has been rising groundwater. However, if legal wells were installed, then they would solve the groundwater problem as well as supply more drinkable water.
It's important to note the current conditions for citizens. Poverty is a major issue for Catalonian residents and many in Barcelona, especially outside the inner city. Slightly over a quarter of Catalonian residents are at risk of poverty and/or social exclusion. Catalonian lawmakers have restricted both water use and water bills. In the first phase, water consumption is to be limited to 200 liters per person per day and can be limited to as much as 160 liters. and for reference, a 10-minute shower uses on average 200 liters. Additionally, lawmakers reduced water for crop irrigation by 80%, livestock by 50%, and for industry by 25%. So the current efforts by Catalonia have had some major issues. First off is desalination, which is a viable option, but the costs are extremely high. Catalonia has also had water shipped in. However, this is not a long-term solution. There's also been efforts by citizens. Some citizens have taken the matter into their own hands and built their own wells or used existing wells without approval or knowledge of the government. The citizens' implementation of their own wells is proof of both need for methods aside from desalination to increase the water supply, and that wells are feasible for many communities. In addition to reducing the growing problem of rising groundwater in Barcelona and the potential impacts that has on the infrastructure in the city, citizens have also called for aid for Europe, as seen in the image to the right, that translates to "We eat what we save and Europe help us." Catalonia has a budget of over 2.6 billion euros to combat the effects of the drought and continues to invest in very expensive desalination plants. As you can see in the image to the right, Catalonia's spending is higher than ever, but the allocation of these funds has not been effective. Catalonia has also received aid from Spain and Europe. Catalonia residents continue to call for aid from other countries, and although they have received aid from Spain, the vast majority of that aid is going to desalination. And desalination alone is not solving the problem. They have also received 500 million euros from EU funds, which is also going towards desalination plants that will not be ready for about a decade, and many small towns and areas of Barcelona are still not connected to the water grid. Therefore, a reallocation of funds toward wells would help those in poorer communities and in Barcelona as a whole, both in the short term and the long term.
Drought impacting the citizens of Catalan creates an issue of rising groundwater which impacts structures and the people living within them. Due to the extremely arid soil, the surface is not permeable. With the threat of rising groundwater and non-permeable soils, the best option to mitigate this issue is to implement water wells. There are several types of wells suitable for the geographic and hydrological conditions in Spain. The first well option is drilled wells, also known as boreholes. Drilled wells can be designed to extract from both shallow and deep aquifers. Because of its versatility, this makes it a reliable water source even during extreme drought conditions. Another suitable option is dug wells. These traditional hand-dug wells access shallow groundwater deposits typically found in sediments such as gravel and sand. While dug wells do not generate as much water as drilled wells due to their shallow nature, they are cost-effective and suitable for rural areas and small-scale agriculture found in Spain. Community wells have the ability to serve multiple households, farms, or small communities, effectively sharing water resources. Community wells are reliable because they tap into deep aquifers that are more resilient to droughts. The last well option is monitoring wells, which are essential for assessing groundwater levels, quality, and flow characteristics. Monitoring wells play a crucial role in tracking aquifer conditions and groundwater levels during droughts. A few benefits of water wells. Through the process of pumping water from these wells, there is a localized depression that occurs, reducing rising groundwater. Additionally, wells generate favorable conditions for proper soil permeability through indirect methods. These methods create stable soils for agriculture, which plays an important part in the Catalonian community. If the well is privatized, well owners are able to access their water supply at any given time without the threat of their water supply being turned off by municipal water companies. Because wells provide a nearly endless supply of water, lasting for 30 to 50 years on average, they are a cost-effective solution to severe droughts. Wells are also a great resource in remote areas or desert regions because it allows the people nearby to have an accessible source of water from the ground when surface levels are scarce.